good. Yes. Thank you, Coach.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Father. Anybody else?
With the 3 turnovers, does that feel like the most kind of the next step in the defense from what you wanted to see on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I would challenge guys every day to take the ball away, and I think, it's one of those things contagious. We've done a great job with it through the first couple of games, and now guys want more and more and more, and obviously changes the dynamic of the game really quickly. We can, either score ourselves or put the offense in scoring position, and I think our guys fully grasp that. And, like I said, one guy makes a play, and then all of a sudden you got, multiple guys making plays out there. So it's exciting for our guys.
In the fourth quarter, you got a lot of your backups and reserves, and a lot of guys got early playing time. Any of those guys really jump out at you?
So I think there's certainly some struggles there. I mean, those guys, obviously if you'd asked me if I was expecting for us, for basically the fourth week in a row to, have our basically top 2 groups shut down, going in the fourth quarter, that, those guys are out there. They don't get hardly any reps during the week. The thing I'd ask out of those guys is just, when we strip the call sheet down, late in the game, is just go play fast and play really hard. I think there's, certainly some guys that are showing up. I think Jay Green did a great job for us at the end of the game, coming in, and there's some other guys, linebackers, some of the young linebackers getting some opportunities in there that are doing a good job for us as well.
People always talk about that, the whole turnovers are contagious, but it's hard to pinpoint how to actually force that, your hand with that. Where last year you guys had a hard time getting them, this year they're rolling. Can you pinpoint what it is about this group that has allowed them to?
Guys playing fast. I mean, when you get a jump on the ball and guys are playing fast and confident, I think that's the thing that I see over and over here early in the season, is guys ultimately have confidence in, what the call, where they're going, what the communication point's going to be between themselves on the field, and then we're getting the quarterback off his spot a lot, making him throw off his back foot, and then guys are playing fast.
Are you seeing anything different in Elijah Jackson from week 1 to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's probably had, if I had to pinpoint one guy that I think's grown between week 1 and week 4, it's EJ. I think, a few mistakes early on, and then you see, Cal came right out the rip, and they tested him multiple times. He was on point with his tackling in space and getting guys on the ground. And I think, when you put down film, that that it's coming, and that you're going to get tested. And I think he's responded really well to the challenges of being out there, because people are always going to look for, which guy they can attack.
What are you seeing from Nunley at safety?
Yeah, Vince has done a good job, obviously just getting back into the flow of things after, being out last season, and then coming back, working into the rotation, obviously with a couple of injury issues. We've called upon him, and he's got great football IQ. He's a good communicator. He's lining up in the right spot. And, there's confidence in guys like him and Mikel Esteen that have been in the program for a while, and that this is their 3rd year, and now it's time to be on the field. So, proud of those guys for their constant preparation.
It's hard to pinpoint sometimes what a hurry is, but you guys were credited for 22 hurries in this past game and didn't have a sack, which is a huge discrepancy. But
right.
What can you do just to be able to finish on some of those plays, do you think?
Yeah, well, I think making sure that we're perfect on whether it's the stunt, the blitz, or the twist execution. Just make sure we're striving for perfection on our angles. And obviously, things break down in the pocket. We get some crazy things happening. But then there's another subset of how you want to attack once the pocket does break down. And for us, that's a theme for the entire fall coming up here. We know we've got a multitude of running quarterbacks that we're going to deal with, and it's being able to finish high side shoulder and get them on the ground. In the same respect, I look at it as like, okay, when are some of the opportunities for us to take the ball away are coming? It's when guys are absolutely do not want to get touched or hit, and they're throwing it out there, and our guys are coming down with it on the other side. So I think it's a great combination, and of course you want to pile up the stats in the sack realm of things, but at the rate that we're taking the ball away right now, that's just as much, if not more, of a positive.
Coach, I don't know if the film shows what I saw down on the sidelines, but number one, Braylon Price is getting a lot of attention by the opposition, and you're not getting a lot of calls. Is there anything?
Yeah, I'll leave that on Coach DeBoer. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I think it's tough. He strains at an elite level. And I think it's tough sometimes. It's a game of football, though. You got to bounce back. You got to go to the next play no matter how we feel about, what they're quote unquote, doing to him. But at the same standpoint, I think that's the great thing about Braylon is just a relentless attitude. And if you see him line up on play 1 or you see him line up on play 30, it's the same guy coming at you every single time. So just encouraging him to continue to be relentless because he is having a major, major impact.
Are you seeing the same thing as I am? He's not getting a lot of calls.
I'll pass, man. So I will pass.
Dom obviously had one of those interceptions. He
Yeah.
had a big hit in the game. Are you getting out of him what you'd hope moving?
Confident, yeah. I think he'd be another one I'd pinpoint since his growth from last season. I'd go all the way back to last season. Obviously, a big positional change for him. There's a big difference between playing nickel and the boundary safety for us, and just his attention to detail, his communication level, the speed at which he's playing. I mean, he's been involved heavily in our game plan. He's involved at the point of attack. Really excited for some of these guys. First career interception. Those things are starting to come to him because of what I mentioned earlier. He's playing really fast right now, and I think he's very, very pleased. Game 1 through 4, what his growth has been, but his growth since last season's been through the roof for us.
How's Asa doing?
Good.
Yeah, played Saturday?
TBD.
Okay. There was a play, I think it was the second drive, where Carson drove Finley into your bench.
Right.
It looked clean to me, but I saw Coach Inge kind of getting on him a little bit in the sideline there. Did that seem like kind of like?
I think Coach Inge is congratulating him. I don't think he's getting on him. So, no, man, our guys play through the echo of the whistle. I mean, you challenge guys. I mean, if guys are still in bounds, you've got to do it legally. And there's that standpoint of being very physical, very, very aggressive, but then just knowing where the boundary's at. And I look on the season right now, it's not we're not getting flagged for a lot of late hits or anything like that. So that shows that our guys are doing it within the confines of the rules.
Looking at Arizona, what do you think the biggest challenge is when it comes to just containing that offense?
Just speed at multiple positions. I think they're dynamic across the board. I think they've got a number of guys that, receiving core, running back core, a lot of depth, and obviously athletic quarterback play again. And this is going to be kind of the kickoff of what we're going to see consistently throughout the course of the season.
How much confidence does it give you when, you've got a player like Jabbar just playing at such a consistent level on one side of the field?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think it's, when you look at through the lens of just play calling and things like that, when you have a lot of confidence in a guy, especially when those guys get so isolated all the time. You look at Saturday and you look at the splits and the spacing on the field from Cal, and they're over-splitting their guys all the time. Well, there's not a lot of ways. I mean, that's no matter how you cook it, there's going to be a lot of one-on-ones out there. And, Jabbar is just super confident being by himself. And I think that just allows us to, do some things schematically to change some pictures on some people when we're really confident in what he's doing on the field.
When you guys went after him in the portal, was this, I mean, he was a proven player. He did it last year, too, at Oklahoma State. Was this the kind of production that you kind of envisioned?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And I think it goes back to not only is he just a fantastic, physical attributes as a player, but just veteran. I mean, the dude he has a lot of confidence. He knows our scheme inside and out. It's like he's been here the whole time. He's a leader for us. So you're getting a lot of not only getting the performance from his abilities, but you're getting the intangibles from the leadership standpoint as well. And I think that has extreme value to me.
I think Tuatele, played for the first time this season.
Yep.
How did he hold up?
Fine. Yeah, we're just getting him back rolling. Limited snap, limited pitch count right away, but getting him back in the mix and like I said, super confident we'll hopefully be able to amp his rep total up here.
Has ETF found kind of a next level? It seems like he's getting off the snap almost right at the exact same time.
Sometimes too well, right? I mean, so yeah. I think he is playing with a lot of confidence, and I think that's one of those things when you come out and every season is new, and then all of a sudden you make that first sack or you make that first play again, even though it's a new season and you've done it, dozens of times before. I think it lights a fire, and I think he's certainly playing with a lot of confidence and being able to win off the edge and going up against some of the guys that he's gone up against so far. He's doing a great job of anticipation and creating some chaos in the pocket.
You got some of the freshmen in. Any of those guys, other than I think Devin Bryant, has burned his red shirt? Any of the other guys that you would anticipate burning the red shirt?
How many times are we going to continue to be up by 40? I don't know. So, Yeah, we're always evaluating those guys, and I think those guys got to be opportune and have to be prepared. And, there's guys we haven't put on the field yet that I know if we needed to put them on the field, there's some young guys that we could certainly put out there that we haven't yet. But at the same standpoint, I think, just great communication with the guys, and this is the expectation and this is what we need out of you. And I think it's the key thing is just continuing to communicate in terms of whether we end up eventually redshirting. The rule change allowed a little bit of flexibility this year with giving those guys the extra game in terms of postseason. And so it gives us a little more room early on. At times, I think last year you're holding guys' red shirt, their fourth game for the bowl game. Well, now that's out of the equation, so you can be a little more aggressive playing some guys early.
Dixon went 95 yards with an interception, but he had a penalty called on him.
Right.
I didn't see the replay, but was it pretty obvious to cancel out?
Yeah, I mean, it's an unfortunate play. Did it impact of what the outcome of the play was going to be? No. Went to jam the receiver and then caught his hands caught a little high, and then, I think he caught his little finger, kind of popped the face mask a little bit. It was going to change that. It was unfortunate because it changed the outcome, a drastic outcome in that whole situation. But, he did get his hands up, and that's one thing we've definitely talked to him about. It's just when you're targeting on receivers, in terms of your hand placement, we've got to make sure that our hand placement's in the right spot.
Good, Coach?
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, Coach.
How we doing? Good morning.
Fire away, everybody.
Did you run a read zone play up 40 with Mike in the third quarter?
No, I ran speed option to be exact, softy. And he's supposed to pitch it.
He was supposed to pitch it?
Well, Roger Rosengarten didn't get the edge sealed up, so Mike kind of had to do what he had to do. But, yeah, he knows how to protect himself. He's a big guy.
How pleased were you with your first play from scrimmage was 19-yard run, I believe, where you have Kalepo pulling and you have a couple crushing blocks. Quinn Moore had one. Just how much did that make you smile seeing the execution, given the issues you've had with the run?
It was good. I thought the guys, we worked really hard during the week at trying to get the run game kind of restarted, initiated some, power schemes and things like that. And just seeing the guys get off the ball and execute from under center like that just set the tone for the game. It was great.
What do you do up in the booth when you've got a pick six, you got a punt return touchdown, and it takes that long before the offense gets on the field?
Oh my gosh. That was first of all, it was awesome. 14-0, and we hadn't touched the ball. And then obviously they score and we still hadn't touched the ball. So you just kind of keep reviewing your openers and thinking about, possessions at that point, how, anything's going to change. And at that point, really, it had. And if anything, just allowed you to be more aggressive.
Dylan Johnson's touchdown, you had 3 tight ends all in on the play.
Yep.
Is that something that you've done much of, or just what did you have to think about that?
That's a base goal line formation for us. We ran it this year earlier when Germ caught a bounce pass in the flat there. That's one of our inside the 5 packages. We have those 3 guys and one of our receivers, whether it's Rome or Jeremy in there. So it's a good formation. There's some flexibility in it and allows us to get downhill on people.
After Dom's pick, you guys had to settle for 3. Kind of felt like Mike had some outlets open and was going for the home run ball almost that entire drive. Did you kind of sense that, or are you okay with that?
Yeah, he got stuck on one read, and live, actually, I thought his third down play looked pretty simple. Going back and watching it, there was definitely some conflicting information for him on the progression, so I can see how he got stuck on it, had to push the ball wide out of bounds. So thought we had a coverage that had a good look for that third down play, and but they did a good job of kind of melting one of their corners, and so it just got a little bit fuzzy for Mike on that one, unfortunately.
Which touchdown do you think was more impressive? Jalen going up and over a guy, or Rome at the end of the half there?
Oh, wow. That's a 1A question right there. They were, I just think the physicality that JP had, to tear that ball, off that guy's helmet shows what we see every day, and that's how JP practices, really physical, strong hands, demands that kind of practice out of himself, and he looks the same every single day. So that was exciting, but just the for Rome, the one before half, the type of concentration and ball location skills that takes to locate a ball traveling that far and flip himself around and get his eyes set on that it was one of the best catches I've ever seen.
Where did his game, just kind of overall with the punt return thrown in there, kind of sit with you on the best games he's had since you've been here?
I think as far as a complete game, yeah, it was. I mean, just seeing him step up and how many tackles he broke, you look at the punt return, which was phenomenal, and then the short screen he catches, he breaks 2 tackles to get in on that, and then he obviously, runs deep routes and making big plays down the field on vertical concepts. So just seeing him, people kind of opening their eyes a little bit to, how wide Rome's game really is, and how many different things he can do, that he's not just an X receiver that runs posts down the field. He's a really talented kid.
McMillan and Rome get a lot of attention, and Jalen Polk, I don't know if you want to call it flying under the radar, but he's having a hell of a year. He looks like a different guy where he's really elevated his game. Number one, what do you attribute that jump to? And when the NFL scouts come through, I know they talk about, the other 2 guys, but are they paying attention to Jalen?
Well, I think, first of all, JP's progression as a player is what every coach wants out of all their guys. You see the progression of the offensive piece, the understanding conceptually of what you're doing, and then just a commitment to transform his body and improve it continually. I think he's one of the hardest workers we have, both in and out of season, and I think it's really showing. I thought he had a phenomenal year last year, and so to see him come out and kind of match suit really with what Rome and J-Mac have done in the offseason and built their game up, and I think JP is just showing that he's put in just as much, if not more, work than everybody else, and I think that certainly his game is gaining the attention of NFL scouts and things like that. But I think, really for JP, it's more about him continuing to develop as a complete receiver. And I think that he'll only get better. I think his best football is ahead of him.
Ryan, is there any reason to be concerned long-term about McMillan? Or was that?
Nope. We're being really safe. He's doing great. He's getting stronger. He was out there yesterday. We practiced. He was running around, running routes. So feel really good about him making it back. There's no structural damage, nothing like that. Just being super safe, not trying to re-aggravate it. But he's doing really good.
How did Garen Hatchett grade out? And I noticed his brother replaced him at one point in the first half. Is it hard to keep track of the Hatchets when you're doing the same position with those guys?
Nope, long hair, short hair. So they're really easy to find. One's a little bit shorter than the other one. No, they're doing good. For Garen, it was just great to see a guy that had worked for a long time, been in this program, good player, trying to get his tool set completely put together. And, for Garen, he's getting a lot better in pass protection, because in run game, he's a dominant player. He can be a factor. Just seeing him becoming more of a complete offensive lineman has been really fun to see.
You've had to move around pieces on the offensive line. How would you assess so far where they're at right now, and how much has that obviously been huge for Michael having enough time to do what he does?
Yeah, hats off to that room and Coach Huff doing a great job of, I think what you want out of those rooms is the ability to be ready before bad things happen, right? And so if you're sitting there and you're reactive as an offense or an offensive line, room, you're probably gonna have problems when trouble hits the road a little bit there. So for our guys to be able to step in, I definitely wasn't surprised. But I think that they're starting to gel now a little bit better. And, we were feeling really good when Julius went in and replaced Teo. And then that changes right away. But just being able to keep the left side intact with Nate and Troy, I think helps a lot. And then Parker was such a presence both at guard and center all camp that I think that part, when you look at it, you're like, okay, 3/5 of it is pretty solid. And then you throw Roger in there. It's really just dealing with a right guard situation. So I think they're coming along really quickly. I think that there's things that, Parker obviously brings to the table that, he has strengths that complement our room really well.
We saw a lot more Josh Cuevas based on snap counts in that game last week. What has he done to kind of push himself into that position?
Yeah, Josh, he's really, I think I said this back even in fall camp, but you know, his prowess as a blocker, it probably goes a little bit unsaid. He's really physical, and, you know, I think that's the part that we like. He obviously can catch the ball and get down the field and be a threat that way, but I think Josh really possesses a suddenness in the run game, you know, on swipes and things like that where he can get into people. And so he's really a fearless player, and we love that about him. Plays really hard, and he's continuing to get a better grasp of the offense. And I think once he really has the control that, you know, Jack and Dev have, he can continue to be even more of a factor.
Had somebody vote you guys number one in the AP poll. Does that resonate?
Was
with
that
you?
Coach DeBoer who was, oh, the AP,
That's the
okay.
coach.
That was you.
Is he a writer?
He
Does
is.
that resonate with
He
you at
is.
all? Does that mean anything?
Uh,
Or is that
No,
Yeah.
not really. No. I think that, you know, my message to the offensive guys anyways was just, you know, the attention that they're getting right now is great. I think it's awesome for the university and for the program, but the second you start putting value in that is when you let off the gas and you start worrying about the good and or bad things that people say. There should be no influence on what's happening within the walls of our program, and both good and bad. It's great to be praised and, you know, have a community that loves you. But I think when you start playing and preparing for those things, and you're looking for the accolades, it'll let you down. Because then, you know, when you're waiting for somebody to give you a compliment, you know, you might be waiting a while sometimes, you know. So just staying driven within our own walls and staying within our program, I think, is really important.
You believe in the idea of a trap game, and is this a potential trap game set?
I don't know if I believe in trap games, and I think Arizona is far too good a team and have come a long ways to fall into that. They should have beat a good SEC team on the road had they not had a couple turnovers. And I think that they've really, you know, coach has done a nice job down there of getting things flipped around. I think that, you know, you have points in the season. I do believe that where people can fall into, you know, worrying about the things that don't matter and start getting a little more attention about what people are saying to you and about you. And that's where the level of preparation falls off. I don't think it's necessarily typically the opponent. It's always, you know, yourself. And when you start measuring your success by what other people are saying, I think that you can let off and not think about the preparation it's going to take to be on the road and beat a good football team.
What are some things that Arizona presents defensively that could cause you guys some issues?
Yeah, they're aggressive. They run to the football really well. Their safeties play downhill. They got a big defensive end, a field DN that's a big kid that, you know, is probably even a little bit longer and bigger than 8 for us. So he's a big guy. I think that their interior D tackles are large as well. They're all in the 6'4" range, 320, 330. They're big guys. So got to have the ability to move the interior around, whether that be holding up on the pocket or pushing in the run game. And then they got really, really long corners. Their corners are both 6'4", I think. One might be 6'3". So good length in the back end as well, and some experience in certain spots.
As well as Michael's been playing this year, it's hard to critique him, but if there's one thing that Michael needs to get better at, what's maybe one thing that he could really improve on?
Yeah, I always go back to preparation. And so for me, Mike is doing a great job. I think he's really taken a huge step this year in how he prepares. But just the circle back piece of if there was any throws that you did get caught on, you know, during a game, why did that happen? Was it a call you weren't anticipating? Was it a coverage scheme that you weren't anticipating? What was it? So just thinking about that, like transitioning from each week to week and thinking about what were the things that limited you from playing a perfect game and then pushing forward in that in his preparation. I think Mike's really, you know, that resonates with him and just how he handles himself on the practice field. I feel like I believe, you know, and I get the, you know, opportunity to see him every week, but I think he's growing every week still. I really believe that, just in his demeanor on the field, how he leads, the confidence he has, the attention to detail. I still think he's getting better every week.
Ryan, just kind of picking up on that, what you said about when a mistake happens. The conversation after the pick that he threw, kind of going over the top, and I think he's going to jail and got picked off.
Yep.
What did you think he saw, and what was that conversation like?
Well, we have scramble rules that are in place, and I think he was anticipating somebody breaking back downhill for him that would have been able to get under the leverage of the corner or whoever that was, the nickel that was breaking back underneath the ball. And, you know, for that, you ask him, you know, because you just want to be able to have open dialogue. So what did you see? Why did you throw it? You know it was late in the play. You know, what happened? And, you know, I always feel like as long as a guy can tell me it matches up with what I saw and then take ownership of the moment, you move on after that. You know, if it's something that they're defensive or you feel like potentially they're not wanting to own what happened, then you got to labor the point a little bit more. So Mike's normally really good, you know, with just, yep, that guy was sliding underneath. It was too late. I didn't need to do that. Just either run or throw it out of bounds. And you can move on because you want to say, well, who is getting underneath? What did you see? And Mike does such a good job. He has such good recall that he knows exactly what he saw. So I think that, to me, that's always been the deal. You don't want to sit there and labor it. You want to make sure it's not going to happen again. And you want to make sure that they're being, you know, clear with what they saw.
Does he ever see something that you did not see, and is he ever right and you're wrong?
Yeah, absolutely. I gave this example of some of the scouts last week, I think it was. I was talking about the Oregon game last year. We were running a high-low mesh concept to the field. He ends up pumping it down to J-Mac in the flat. We're probably like inside the 20 at Oregon. And it looked like the flag or the corner route was popping. And it was really close. And I was like, man, what did you see on that? Why'd you check it down? And he said, Coach, that corner was flinching open to take the flag. And I was like, really? Okay, we'll see. And so, you know, I've learned to trust Mike and just what he sees because he has good vision. And, you know, sure as heck, you go back and watch the tape and you see the corner just for a split second flinch to the flag. And immediately Mike cuts his feet down and throws the ball to the flat. And so just things like that, you know, you just have to have that honest conversation with each other too, where Mike can trust me and I can tell him, no, that's not what it was. It was actually this. And then he can process that and move on and vice versa too, because there's some things you see, but in a split second, because you're watching a lot of things and he's zeroed in on one guy or a movement indicator. And yeah, he's just got really good vision. That's the thing I tell all the NFL scouts about him. He's got the best vision of anybody I've ever been around.
Ryan, this would have been a big week for Mateo Melee.
Mm-hmm.
I know when you go on a trip, you got to take guys that are ready to play, available. Is he, if he wanted to be a part of it, does he have to do that on his own and meet you guys down there, that kind of thing?
You know, that's a great question. I hope not, you know, because we'd love to bring him with. And, you know, right now it's tough seeing a guy that's given so much to this program be in that position. And, you know, he finally gets his opportunity to be the guy and he's doing a great job. And so, yeah, I would hope that he's part of the trip with us.
Running games really seems to be getting better every week. Is that because you're just getting better, or are you opening up the playbook a little bit more?
Well, I think there's opportunity, you know, where some of those have presented themselves later in games where sometimes even where you need to work the run and the game's established. And so you do get an opportunity in game situations to get better at running the ball. And so I think there's both, and I think we have to continue to, you know, regain focus on that, put a little bit more emphasis on it. So we're improving, though. And some of that has to do, honestly, with, you know, not just the O-line, but the backs, you know, running better tracks, you know, being more instinctual with their reads and things like that, and hitting open seams and not being greedy, you know, and just staying on course. And, you know, 20 is starting to come on. Tybo is starting to do a lot better. And I think Dylan Johnson is going to keep getting stronger every week.
What do you need to coach against when you specifically go down there to Arizona? Is it the wait all day long? Is it the weather? Is it weird stuff seems to happen in that stadium?
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I think the first thing is having the guys clean on their mechanics for a night game. I've always believed that you have to help guys through their own process and just have a plan. You know, it doesn't have to be uniform or everybody doing the same thing, but just talk about, you know, the amount of time that they're going to have and how will they spend it. You know, most of the time I know Mike, we have a meeting, we go over reminders, we have walkthrough, and then he'll take a nap and then wake up and we might do a little blitz pickup or something like that. But guys have mechanics, you know, that they need to go through. Some guys just got to watch football all day. Some guys want to look at their plays the whole time and wait for the game to start. But I think it has to be something within their parameters of what they like and makes them feel comfortable. So I always tell them, don't do what you think your coaches want you to do. Do what makes you ready to play, because everybody has their own process. So I think that's the number one. You got to knock that out. And then after that, you know, if there's anything that you got to deal with as far as, you know, weather-wise, whether it be rain or being down there that's hot, reminding guys to hydrate and just be ready for whatever the environment will be, and then move from there. And I think as far as, carryover from other times or events or games, I just have never believed in those things. I just think it is what it is. The game is unique to that day, and that's what we got to continue to hammer to the guys. And last time on the road, I thought they did a great job. I thought our growth as a football program showed when we went to Michigan State. I know offensively, I just talked to the guys. I'm like, the first thing you got to know is you're not in your own bed, and the catering might not be perfect, and you might have to tape on a table and not on a cushy chair, whatever it is. Like, just anticipate that. You need to picture that going into the game and know that it's not all going to be perfect. That's part of being on the road. And once you anticipate that and you overcome thinking like everything has to be just perfect, there'll be plenty of food and water, and they're going to have cleats, and we're going to have footballs, and we're going to have a call sheet, and it's all going to be good. You worry about the other stuff, and that's when guys get anxious and they start to worry about the wrong stuff. Just stay focused on the game. And our guys did a really, really good job of that at Michigan State.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, good afternoon. You got a few questions, but some things from the coaches. Just good to get back to work yesterday after a really good performance. I was proud of our guys. Film, always some things we can work on, but 24 hours passed yesterday, and we're moving on to Arizona. So guys will be challenged with going on the road again, and I think we built up some great confidence about how to approach the week and what it takes to win whenever you go on the road. And we start school this week, so a lot of new things and different things that the guys will be experiencing along those lines as well. So, questions?
Have you guys gotten a conclusion on Zach Durfee in that situation?
A little bit more, yeah. We were denied initially. We have put in an appeal, so we're waiting back for that. Yep, that's the update. That happened last week.
Did they give you a reason?
It's just that everything's been kind of the what they call two-time transfers, right? Has been cracked down quite a bit. Every case is different, right? And the hard part for me to really see through is that he's only played football at one of those other schools, and he was at the other one for one semester as just a student during COVID. So they're all different scenarios, and certainly, we're working hard and trying to get the information that's needed, whether it's filing the initial waiver or the appeal now as well.
Are they, would they hold that year against him?
You would lose a year.
Or?
Yeah, you'd lose a year. Yeah.
So he'd be a senior next year?
No, he'd have a couple of years left yet. Yeah.
How's he dealing with all that?
Yeah, I mean, Zach's a very positive guy, and we're keeping him very involved, and he's taking a ton of reps. Just not a ton, but he's taking some reps to work in and just stay sharp. He brings a great mindset, and he knows that there's a lot of football for him down the road. It's just a matter of whether it's sooner or later. But he's a super positive guy. Even just yesterday, just off the cuff, just sending me text messages, and he just loves being here. He loves being a Husky, and feels great about how being a Husky, just even in these few months that he's been here this year, has really led to his growth as a person and as a football player.
Frustration's got to be part of it because he could help you.
He
right?
definitely could help us. Yeah, he could definitely help us.
For fans that don't know a lot about him, what does he bring to the table?
Yeah, and it's not that we don't feel good about who we have, right? We got some great players, but just there's a lot of things with his body type, not just playing the edge position, but he could be very involved in a lot of special teams because he's a big guy that can run. And, he's very smart, very intelligent, and so he's a guy that will definitely play some snaps here in the years ahead, for us that are very meaningful.
went back and watched the tape, that 35-yarder to Rome at the end of the first half and the one that Jalen Polk caught off the Cal defender's helmet, which one stood out more to you?
Yeah, I mean, they're in different ways, right? The focus for both of them was elite. Just the way JP just snagged it and just working through hands in the way and things like that. I mean, that's high-level stuff. And then Rome, the center field turn or whatever you want to call it to trace the ball over the opposite shoulder. Those are things that you have to feel good is through reps and have done that in practice, and they're obviously very instinctual, but they both it's fun seeing those guys make those plays on the sidelines. Our guys just go crazy. Doesn't matter if you're an offensive player or defensive player, guys go crazy when they see those type of plays being made.
Obviously, you were familiar with Jalen because he was a Fresno guy and you were at Fresno. Did you know much about Rome before you took this job?
No, not really. Not until I was here. But man, it was very easy to see what type of not just player, but a person he was. Getting to know him and how just thoughtful. He was not just about what he wanted out of his career, but who. The teammates and so forth. He cared a lot about this team. I could tell that in those early weeks in December back in 2021 when I first took the job. And, man, he's just, he's a captain on this football team for a reason. And it's because he cares not just about what, of course, what he can do individually, but he really helps other guys, the receiving core. He's constantly mentoring them, the team aspect. I think he's really raised his game, or raised who he is as far as a leader and being vocal too. Now I saw, even before the game again this last week, he's kind of leading the charge, and he and JP are two of those guys that feel great about being in that spot. And, obviously, the receiving core position, those guys are, along with Jalen, are some headliners there for sure.
Would you consider leaving Rome on punts when Jalen comes?
Yeah. I mean, with Jalen and between J-Mac and Rome, both those guys. I mean, we need a playmaker. I mean, think about what that did to the game and the flow of the game and the energy it brought to the stadium. I mean, those are big points that you're scoring early to just separate yourself. And the more touches those guys can get, and there's some space that we can create, and those are big plays. The turnovers that we had, the special teams plays, the explosives, those are the big chunk yardage plays. So an opportunity for him to get a touch is great.
And then Jalen's availability for Saturday.
Yeah, he's working really hard through it. Did some things yesterday, and feel very optimistic, and he's working as hard as he can to get ready for this weekend.
Coach, you and coaches, players, you've all talked about having that championship mentality. You've won championships. How does this team compare to the other teams that you had on that championship run? And is the process different here than it was back there, or are you pretty much on the same roadmap?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's always the same. I mean, the mindset, right? The mindset has to be there. The work has to support the goals. It's got to be, to me, if you want to win a championship, those are special teams. I don't care if it's conference championship, national championship. When you're the best at your level, there's something that's coming together in a unique and special way. And these guys are right on track and it's not just something that is developing over the course of a month or two or a preseason or even spring ball. To me, there's lessons that you learn, that you take, and experiences that you go through. And these guys have gone through that, and they're aware that, we fell short a year ago when we went on the road after being 4-0, and championship teams with the right mindset, are going to prepare extra special hard to make sure that doesn't happen, the second time around.
Did you just tweet a hope signal, by the way?
Yeah, it was earlier before I came up here.
So you do run your own Twitter account?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the roadmap the same, or is it different at this level?
Good. Working efficiently here, Softy. I'm sorry.
Is the roadmap on the way to a championship the same at this level, or is it different?
Yeah, to this point, right? Because we don't get any further ahead than this next week. We really don't. And, the focus has to be on continuing to improve. And I know I say this like it's a broken record, but, what we are now, I think, is different than what we were against Boise State. And what we need to be, this weekend and the coming weeks ahead, it needs to continue to evolve. I'm not saying it's different, like we're a whole different and a different identity and things like that, but we continue to grow, and the level of just, the standard that's out there. We know what we want to be, but what we're becoming in the energy, I can just tell you in the locker room the last 2 weeks, first half and second half, it's been different than ever before. Just there's energy, but there's like this focus and determination to come out of the locker room hard charging and, separate ourselves. I think there is a killer instinct that this team is developing. We see that in the second quarter, just continue to separate ourselves. So I think a lot of those things are growing, and then it just needs to keep expanding to the third quarter, the fourth quarter. I mean, just finding different ways to win. We haven't had a close game yet. And so even though we did last year and we won those for the most part, I think that, and we have confidence when we get to that position, we will continue to take on, a few things here and there just through our experiences and through the course of the season that help us become who we are.
You guys have hit on a lot of transfers this offseason. When you look at what Jabbar is doing for you right now, and Dylan Johnson, Cuevas, Jeremy, go forth. How do you feel like the guys that you've brought in have helped kind of fill the holes in this team?
I feel phenomenal about them because they are not just really good players that are helping us. They're just really great people. And I saw that this spring. You hope that that's going to be the case when you recruit and bring them in. But, through the spring and then really after the spring, sitting back with them and having one-on-one meetings with each of those guys and hearing what they say about how their experience has been as a transfer coming in and how the rest of the team has opened their arms to these guys individually. And, I just think that's the type of culture and team that we have right now is if you come in and you work really hard and you want to sacrifice and commit to this group, they'll open up their arms to you and, be happy that you're a part of it. And anyone that can make us better, and like these guys are doing, we're excited. So I appreciate these guys coming in and glad they're here.
It's only one person's opinion, but what does it do to the atmosphere recruiting-wise when you get a number one vote in people for the first time since '97?
Yeah, I think collectively too, just where we're at, and it helps. With the recruiting, as far as what you're where you're at. I don't know if it's just one person's vote that makes that big of a difference, but just where we've been now, not just for 1 week, 2 weeks, but we've sustained this, in the top 25, and I think there is an expectation that our team has to play like a top 10 team and beyond. That we know that again we're going to get everyone's best shot. We know that our schedule is super competitive, and we can't bring anything but our A game.
With Dylan Johnson, it seems like you're still just kind of scratching the surface with him. How much more do you think there is to his game that he hasn't quite gotten to show yet?
Yeah, I think it's just probably continuing to add more reps in a game to what we're giving him, because I think you see him in the pass game being pretty consistent, whether it's catching the ball or in protection. I think he's great in protection. He's thick. He's got heavy hands when he hits you. When you're a blitzer, or if he even had to block a lineman in a case, he's a physical kid. And now running the football, you see that show up where the pile's moving forward, and he's going to run through arm tackles for sure. He runs through those low ankle grabs that might get you once in a while, but he's catching the ball out of the backfield, very confident. You can see him not having to think as much, and so it's just a matter of continuing to get more reps and grow by playing more snaps on the football field for us.
I was standing in the end zone at the end of the game, and Himes went walking by me in street clothes. Does he have a chance to play again this year?
This year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hopefully even this week.
Okay.
Maurice, right? Maurice Himes? Yeah. And if he we'll go through the week and see how he's doing. Yeah, I don't anticipate anything serious.
Yeah, I couldn't tell how he was all
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah, no, he just was out for
Wearing
the rest,
something and-
out for the rest of the game. Yeah.
What about Julius? Is he on his way back too?
Yes, he's doing well, coming back strong. Every day, I think for these guys, they're just committed to so strong to spending hours upon hours in the training room, and all that pays off. So they're all coming back rather quickly. So, we'll see where he's at here later in the week. Probably be very limited early, but his availability possibly by the end of the week could be there.
Kalen, you mentioned seeing the video of Rome, getting people fired up for the pregame. How much do you find out about your players after the game on social media, just kind of browsing through Twitter, Instagram, and seeing something that you didn't see either pregame or during the game?
I actually did see that pregame because I was looking at the video board because I just always like to make sure our guys get off the field safe and all that good stuff. And so I was paying attention and I saw him, being Rome, with a lot of energy and passion, and I love it.
Coach Gene Smith at Ohio State said it's become common for recruits to request $5,000 to make a visit. Have you run across that?
No, not at all. No.
If they did, your reaction would be?
On a official or unofficial?
Unofficial.
Or are you talking about for unofficial? Yeah, no, we don't have to worry about that. People know how we operate, and we're gonna do things above board.
Kalen, it seems like Braylon, he hasn't gotten that sack, but, people are throwing a lot at him. It seemed like there was a pretty blade in the hole last week that you probably don't want to comment on, but how have you seen him from an attitude standpoint?
Yeah.
Continue to push forward when things have kind of been stacked up against him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we know the impact he's making, and he knows the impact he's making, and so yeah, he wants that one too. He wants to. I think once he gets that first one, they'll come in heaps. But he's just out there every single day, and whether it's practice or games, and he's causing problems. He's so physical, and he's right there again. Quarterback percentage, I think, even now through 4 weeks, is probably just right over 50%, I think. And there's a reason for that. Yes, our DBs are playing much better. Linebackers are doing a good job in coverage as well. But we're getting some pressure on the quarterback. There's a lot of throwaways. There's a lot of balls that are just, don't have much of a chance of being completed.
Kalen, I asked Ryan Grubb about this. You probably heard the answer about just going down to Tucson, night game, what you have to kind of guard against. You talked about mechanics, things like that. What's kind of your perspective on what's important for this weekend?
Yeah, it's always going to come down to preparation and our mindset going into it. I think we've gotten to that point where we believe that. And, we need great energy tomorrow morning when we step on the football field. We're going to practice a little bit earlier because school starts now. So, we need great energy come Wednesday morning. That's always, to me, Wednesdays is always a big day because it's that right in the middle of the week, right? It's hump day, called hump day for a reason. We got to get over the hump. But our guys need to attack the week. And on Wednesday, we got to attack it. And that's what our guys, the last 2 Wednesdays have been phenomenal. And you see that production happening on another level on Saturdays. And, as far as the trip's concerned, obviously it would be warmer, but it will be a night game. The sun will be down by the time we're playing. So it can cool off very quickly. And we just, our guys physically are ready for these opportunities and these moments. And we're in a good spot right now mentally and physically continue to get stronger.
Grubb was talking about a conversation he was having with an NFL scout about Michael. And obviously, you guys have had scouts out here, from the start of training camp. You got a lot of NFL prospects. Is there anybody who you tell scouts about or who scouts ask about that maybe isn't super on the radar right now, maybe isn't a name that gets as much attention as some others?
That I tell them that I think because there are so many guys, we've had a lot of attention now here, spring, summer, fall, because of our topics. I think by this point now, JP is a guy, I think that it probably, I guess if there's one that to answer your question maybe is risen more just because of the production now that's been consistent going back to the last season, year 2. But it's not like I need to tell them that. They see that on the film. They see the statistics, and I think there's really not a lot of surprises right now, but man, it's fun talking about our guys for sure. And those meetings with the scouts are taking longer and longer just because there's more guys, and we love that. That's what these guys are working so hard for here in our program.
What do they want to know about mostly? I mean, obviously they can watch film, watch the games, see those sort of things. But what do they want to know from the coaching staff?
I think habits. Coach Mack will go through his strength stuff and those type of things, but they just want to know about, these guys and their habits, the away from the field and their the presence they have with their teammates. What is it, that they bring that as extra special? This is a huge investment for the next level. They want to make sure to invest in the right people, not just also the right players. It's just an extension of what we do in the recruiting process, making sure we got that all-around, well-rounded person as well, not just a football player.
With school starting on Wednesday, are there any walk-ons that have been put on scholarship yet that you've made a decision on?
No, nothing right now.
Okay.
It looked like at the end of the game, Braden Bruner got a chance to play next to Carson. Is that something, you've got 3 pairs of brothers on this team. Can you just talk a little bit about just that angle?
Yeah, those are all special moments for guys. I know when the Hatchets were out there too, and you just try to create those opportunities, those times that will live on forever, and these guys you can see the brotherly love that happens between these guys in our program, and it's super special for them. And obviously as a parent, I can't imagine, what that means to see their sons out there, first of all on the same football team, but on the field together, a lot of times playing next to each other. It's really cool.
Are you involved at all in the theatrics with the lights and all that, or do you have any input? Like, do they even ask you, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Like, other coaches are involved.
Yeah.
Some coaches just completely recuse themselves from it altogether. How about you?
I mean, as long as we're cutting it loose and having fun and the fans are enjoying their experience, until something really backfires and blows up in our face, let's go, And so, make sure the lights don't flicker until we can have all the video replay of a touchdown, and the evidence is all there, things like that, or maybe just a few reminders, but, have some fun. That's what the fan experience is all about. We got to do our job, but anything else that can be created to make the atmosphere even better, I'm all for it.
What did you think of the atmosphere Saturday night?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I think it's continuing to build. You could feel it, and I know there's still another level that it will get to and needs to get to. And I hope the fans just, appreciate what their chance and opportunity is when they come to a game. It's to see guys like Michael and see our guys working hard. I mean, defense and special teams now involved in making our, of course, team win football games, but we love the energy that the fans bring. Making it hard for the opponent and being a home field advantage. We got some big ones, that we aren't to yet, but they're right around the corner. And, the home field advantage has been a big deal for us here last year and this year. So.
Anything else for Coach?
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Yep. Go Celebrate.